Hello, welcome to MS Ignite. We are here with the wonderful set of community reporter videos that we've been trying to do all week, and I am joined by Jason Hand and David Blank-Edelman, who are, okay, so we've just been having this conversation. Are you cloud advocates or cloud ops advocates?
Yes, we are very much.
And I understand you're part of Jeff Sanquist's team, and you tie in with the whole League of Extraordinary DevOps Advocates, and those people who've been going before. So tell me a little bit about what your role is and how you're trying to engage with people like myself and what you do.
Sure. So the way to probably start is to say we're part of a group that is in the Azure organization. We're part of a group that has a bunch of advocates that are out there to both help people understand what's available for us, and also to bring back information from the community that the community says, hey, your product could be so much better if it only X. Like, we're the people that are carrying that message. And so there are two groups. There's the original group that's been around for about a year, maybe a year and a half. It was the Cloud Developer Advocates, and that contains lots of the people that you know, some of the famous names. And then recently they decided what we need to do is focus not just on the developer side of things, but we also have to pay attention to the operations side of things. The people that are running the IT ops, the DevOps folks, and the folks that we typically talk to also are the site reliability engineers. So they formed a sister team called the Cloud Ops Advocates. I was hired basically shortly afterwards. There are more people coming on board because Microsoft feels it's super important to be able to have conversations in the operations community, however, whatever name you use for them, that help make the product better and that help us help make their life better.
Okay. So what kind of conversations are you having? Are you talking about things like telemetry, trying to find out if things are going wrong before they're going wrong, how we manage support, servicing, those kind of things?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just gave a talk yesterday on the topic of incident response, with a little bit of sort of theory and principles behind SRE, site reliability engineering, which is really sort of David and I's sort of specialty area, I guess you'd say, which is also very closely tied to DevOps, which is another area that both of us have had a lot of experience in and kind of deeply rooted into that community of folks who are really adopting these ideas and are really sort of pushing, I think, tech in a new direction. That coupled with all the technology, things like Azure Cloud, I think is having a huge impact on how we think about getting services and getting applications and stuff out. There's just a lot of new ways you can do it, and best practices seem to change like every day. So yeah, I think the most important word within our title is advocate. We're an advocate for not only the community, the people who rely on Azure and Microsoft products, but also we know the community, we know the people and what they're trying to accomplish, or at least we have sort of direct line conversations with them, and then we get to turn around and take that right into the product team, and thankfully they're very interested in hearing what we have to say as a voice for the external community, so that they can build and provide what those people need.
I think it's useful to realize that I think that Microsoft realized is that there's all this effort that's put towards, and the reason why we're sort of in the Azure world is it's fairly easy to get into the cloud. Like, here's my credit card or my PO or whatever. But the question then becomes, how do you live there comfortably? What does day 2 look like? What is it like to operate in the cloud? And that turns out to be not the same necessarily as operating in an on-prem situation or other things. And so the things that we think about are ways to make that comfortable, ways to make it easy, efficient, and other things for the business. Because once they get to the cloud, people tend to find out it can be a bit of a different ballgame. And so the things we focus on are operations practices that help people, that have shown to help people in that space, that have helped planet-wide infrastructures like Google and Microsoft and Spotify and just name them, Yelp, like Airbnb, like all these people have sort of approached the site reliability engineering discipline as a way of being able to operate at this scale and operate in this manner. And so we're out there to try to help other people understand what it is, how they might get involved with it, why it would be good. Sometimes it's good for them, sometimes not, how they would decide. And that's kind of one of our primary focuses on both sides.
So I've had some quite interesting conversations myself over the past couple of days about what is the future of the IT pro role? What is an IT pro going to look like in 5 years' time? What skills are we still going to need? what new ones are we going to need to look? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, honestly, if you just look at the session agenda, it's pretty clear that there's a lot of pushing into things like continuous delivery, continuous integration. If we talk about Azure DevOps now and pipelines and boards, and there's concepts, but then there's also concepts that have maybe been floating around within our community for a while. But now there's ways to sort of do those concepts. Like with the pipelines thing, that's really going to help people take their repositories and in a safe and secure way get that out into production, get it into the hands of people. And so I think the IT ops and just operations people and system administrators, it doesn't really matter how you identify, but if you don't feel yourself as a developer, I think a lot of those people are starting to learn a little bit more language, programming languages, because it's helping sort of speed up the process of getting code out. So the ops people are kind of learning some development ideas, and development people are kind of learning some operations ideas. Now they can stand up an instance in no time. They don't have to put in a work order with their operations team just to start building out something. They can spin up something on Azure super fast and begin doing their work. So that changes the whole landscape of how you do all this. But you still got to have a little bit of hand-holding at the beginning for some people. So I don't know, there's a lot of different concepts, but I think continuous delivery, continuous integration, using things, automation in general, using things like GitHub, just repository, source code repository, that type of thing. It's things that are maybe a little bit new for folks, but really not that difficult. And honestly, once you get your head around some of the basics, it opens up the landscape for all kinds of interesting things.
So, I just want to say, Microsoft has been on this trajectory for a while, in the PowerShell universe and DSC and stuff like that. So they for sure have sort of understood the importance of innovation. Because the thing is that one of the things that we've sort of figured out very clearly is it's not possible to scale your people. Like, it isn't the case, like, if your business goes like this, there's no way you're going to be able to hire like this, and there's no way you want to hire like this. So being able to do that is important. So the people that are existing at Ops now also, invariably when you come up with a situation, you say, like, do you like clicking that 19 times a day? And do you think it's really good that they have to come to you for something that's just a click that you can do, that they can do? They sort of realize that this might be a path that would make their lives better and easier. And I think that's the path that they've been on, for sure.
I think a lot of times it's scary because they hear automation, they hear about these things, that feels like maybe it's taking their jobs away. And honestly, if you think about it, what it's really doing is just sort of giving you the opportunity to clear your mind and your desk and your day to work on new, interesting things, and try out some new tools, and try out some new processes that traditionally they just didn't have the freedom to do that. And so now they can go still have a job, but grow and learn and how to do more rather than just be kind of stuck in their this is how we've done it forever. We're just going to continue to do it this way. It really does open up the door to let them kind of grow and become better and better.
And to bring it back to reliability, the only other thing that I would mention is that I don't know an IT professional of any sort, whatever you call it, who doesn't like the idea that says, wouldn't it be great if your stuff went down less often? Wouldn't it be great if you could recover faster? Or would it be great if you didn't have to recover faster because you were able to engineer something that was more reliable and more resilient, and you could work with if not you could be working alongside the partner of the development board to help you get to that place, and that invariably tends to make people really excited.
So as I sit here with Alex messing with the lamp, I'm actually thinking.
Not making like it's just a disco. I don't know if you know that.
It kind of illustrates a point.
Panic in the podcast.
So we've done a lot of these recordings with an absolute pro crew who do this all the time, and some of those conversations that we've just been having are absolutely fine. If you're a big organization, you've got a team of developers building line of business apps, pushing into production, managed by a team of ops guys, your Netflix, whatever. If I'm a small shop, I'm the Rik and Alex show, and we're holding our light on our own while the other hand holds the camera because we're multitasking. What do you think about that kind of role? Where previously our life was straightforward, wasn't it? Because we ran the cables, we plugged in the switches, we installed the servers, and it was a narrow enough scope that we could keep all that knowledge in our heads, and it was a small enough scale that we could do it all ourselves. what would you say to people like that who are obviously looking at this new cloud world and going, well, A, what is my role moving forward? And B, oh my God, that just looks so daunting, so scary. So where do I start?
Well, I mean, one good example is for a lot of people that kind of fit the description you're saying, like they did have to be the ones who were ordering servers and racking them and getting them all set up and getting all the stuff configured and everything. And now there's different ways to do that, much simpler ways to do that. But it's still the same priority, it's still the same role. And I think they're not really losing anything, or maybe that's not the right way to look at it. If they're getting rid of some old job, like you don't have to run as much Category 5 cable, right? Like you just kind of rely on wireless. But now there's other problems for those people. So for everything that sort of goes away, there's going to be a new thing. And I think the cool thing is that they can sort of be the more forward-thinking, kind of front thought people who bring these new concepts to the business and say, hey, I just learned of something at Ignite, and I think it's going to be worth some time invested into this. And I don't know. It just means there's a term that we use a lot about having a growth mindset at Microsoft. And I think anybody who really embraces that is going to be better. Not just better, but going to be in a really good place for a lot of this tech that's coming. But it's definitely an uncomfortable situation for people to think. I wear a lot of hats, and how am I going to do another hat? But I think you're going to be setting some hats down.
Yeah, I think what Jason said is absolutely right. But I also want to point out that it kind of depends on who you're talking about, because your description of running all the cables and racking the servers, or even setting up the cloud stuff, is true in a startup today. So if tomorrow you go do a startup with 3 of your friends, Sally, Sue, and Bob are all going to be doing everything, and so that still continues. And in a larger organization that has more stratification and has this sort of stuff, even those organizations are starting to play more with organizational structure, where you're forming around projects. I mean, products, like not necessarily projects. I mean, you're using that sort of silo stuff going on. So I think what Jason says is absolutely right, because I think that invariably it's not a taking on more hats, it's a trading hats, and ideally it's a hat that fits better. And you're like, wait, I don't have to do that thing where I got my hands bloody on the rack in the data center. Again, like I'm not going to miss that. I don't miss doing that. I did that a lot, right? And I don't miss doing that again.
So the other topic that I've actually seen, and I think it's great that it is being talked about, that I saw in the keynote. Certainly when you move into cloud, governance is key. I spend a lot of my time talking to my customers about how they manage this. I normally find that most of the burden's not quite the right word, but you know where I'm coming from, as we sort of adopt this technology, that responsibility tends to lie with the ops team. Have you got any advice for how they should tackle that, so that rather than just saying, oh, cloud project, we'll let the devs have at it and see how they go on, how we can responsibly experiment with the cloud and adopt the cloud, and maybe suggest some tools or some approaches we should use to help us do that without the sudden, oh my God, the credit card's going crazy moment.
Well, so I was just going to say, I am always tickled when I talk with Jason, because he likes to talk about the fact that reliability, just like security, isn't the responsibility of one person. So if you're in an environment where, congratulations, one person is in charge of more governance, then that to me is an anti-pattern, right? And you don't want to go that route. Maybe somebody there who's the official data reporter, or GDPR land, like the title is, and that you have that as a title. But if the other people aren't thinking about this as well, if the product isn't thinking about it, even from lots of perspectives, like if privacy is not thought about by everybody, such that things aren't appropriately constructed, that's a problem. And so I want to say, if you get that problem, fix that problem first. Just like it's like around security. Like if it is the case that it's Susan's job to do all the security in your company, not so good, right? Like it's everybody's responsibility. So I don't want to directly sidestep your question by saying like it's all of us, but I want to make that statement.
Well, and a big part of this, you should point out, is like none of this stuff really happens unless there's a lot better communication and collaboration and transparency about what is really being done and how the work gets done and what are the systems really doing and what's it's the reality of our world, our digital world, with regards to the things that we're building. And I think for a lot of folks, especially, I'm traditionally an operations type person, and I feel like over time, as I've sort of, been moved into this whole world, that I kind of shift roles into more of a mentor and a coach. And I'm going to teach developers some of the operations sort of skills and just mentality that I've been carrying around forever, so that they now have that. And I'm going to learn from them. And I think that's, there's always been some cross communication and cross collaboration, but now it's just like we're really enhancing that and like making that a high priority, and that sort of opens up all kinds of better ways of discussing how we're going to do this and what are we going to do about security and the governance and GDPR. You don't just hand that off to a developer who really has never had to worry about these things. We all have to worry about. Like you said, one of my favorite things to say is reliability is. It's everybody. It's not something you just hand off to the engineering team. It's not something you hire in. It's something from the top all the way to the bottom. We all have to think about it, especially as we're moving. They say shifting, monitoring, securing, and all these different security, all these things, shifting them left or whatever. All that means is that we got to start talking about this earlier. We got to start instrumenting our code to tell us what is really happening in pre-production environments and all the way in production environments. And then once it's in production environments, the developers still should have a pulse on what's going on there, because they were involved from day one. And so they're going to be the best people to sort of get involved. And the operations are still there with their knowledge, and they can kind of cross-collaborate. And that's I think that's something that often is not really noticed or kind of skipped over, is that there's now a sort of transfer of what we know across those two silos, like I said.
So one of the things certainly I see with cloud is, if you like, myself as a traditional sort of ops IT pro, I'm being pushed up the stack. I don't have to run the server now. I've got to monitor and manage the state of app services, that kind of thing. Actually, sometimes I find a little bit of resistance to that because people are nervous.
Well, it's not just nervous, it's also the case that they realize that when something goes wrong, they're going to have to fix it. And in order to fix it, they have to know about it. They have to have insight or observability into it so they can look at it. Like I've heard people say, I can't look at the logs, I have no access to the logs anymore. And I get that, and I don't think that's an unreasonable ask to be able to understand. I mean, as long as you're not moving to sort of a more of a swarm mentality, but let's assume it's perfectly reasonable. It's not that I'm afraid to do it. It's that I can't do my job as I understand my job, and maybe the job mutates a little bit, but it's a perfectly reasonable thing for people to say.
And again, there's a shift there that I'm no longer looking at logs on each of the servers.
That's right.
So. I know we were talking a little bit earlier about how you guys like the idea of instrumentation and telemetry and sort of preemptively knowing that things are starting to come. So maybe talk a little bit about what kind of skills or talents or technologies people might want to look at to help them rise up that stack with confidence.
Well, I would say, just because of my experience, that being able to get let's say traditional developers more involved with just the entire process, getting them more involved with, standing up new instances and VMs and all that kind of stuff, but then also getting them more comfortable with really being responsible for what's going on in production. And that's a scary thing. Putting devs on call, a lot of people say that's not my job. I was never trained on any of this stuff. I don't even have access into these things. I don't know if you want to give me root access into some of these things. There's lots of ways to sort of deal with that, but finding a way to get the developers involved not only sort of shares the load and speeds things up, but it also improves the quality of what's being built, because they don't want to be low code. And so they will spend a little bit more time and effort and making sure that the application has the telemetry or has the instrumentation, because they're the ones who will be asked to dig in and see what's going on. So when they know how to do that, and they know how to use these tools, and they know how to use like Azure Monitor, and they know how to use application insights and the analytics and all the different things that sort of tell them the sort of reality of their systems, they become much more comfortable with it. It's just another thing that they know how to use. So that would be my advice: is that you really got to start understanding some of the tools that are out there. And Microsoft's got a lot of great stuff within the Azure portal, but there's a lot of great open source things out there too that people are using. And I think it's important. This goes back to the experimentation. You got to be able to create some space for those developers and the IT operations people to go, come to Microsoft Ignite and learn about new stuff, but also, maybe do hackathons back in your office, or at least carve out a few hours a week to just go work on something new, so that you can see, is this something that might be able to benefit us in the future? But you gotta create space to let people learn and grow.
I'll give a complimentary answer that is totally different, but will connect to this. I think that there is also sometimes the responsibility of people that are working on this in the operations side of the house, be them SREs and stuff like that, to build the things that make it easy for everybody to participate in the central systems. I'll be explicit about that. So it's really nice if it becomes easy for developers simply create a library and all of a sudden their metrics and their monitoring data is in the central thing and they just get it for free. And in fact, people take that a little further when they do things like service meshes, which is another technology, where it is the case that you run it, and the thing is that the monitoring is built in. It's just there. Your app doesn't necessarily have to pay attention to it. But making these underlying strata that make it easy to do operations best practices by the developers or anybody else who's writing code or applications is something that we for sure focus on and think about, because that gets you stuff for free. They don't have to think about it, and everybody benefits from the strata that's based on it.
So, way back at the start of this conversation, we were talking about effectively deconstructing your job titles, that you are cloud ops advocates,
yes,
and maybe we ought to use the ops. So I might suggest that actually, what if we went further? If I said, well, you can't have the cloud either, how much do you think the modern techniques, the approaches of running in the cloud actually can be sucked back down to on-premises, and maybe is it possible to use some of those cloud-located technologies to help me change my operating model, even if I am, should we say, stuck on-premises as a tech?
Or maybe it's intentionally on premises. Like again, no shame here. Like if it is the case that you can't move your data out of Sweden and you don't want to put it someplace that's in another Sweden, I'm not going to tell you that's bad. I guess what I would say is that there are definitely certain patterns that people have adopted that make cloud. One of them is to be sort of API driven. I want the thing, I want to do the activity. There is a known API that acts as a contract that says, I ask for this, I expect to get that back. There's nothing that stops you from being API driven locally. I'm fond of saying also that like Google's on-prem, they run their own data centers, right? Like that's in a cloud formation, right? So just to understand that adopting those patterns, and there certainly are definitely APIs became really, really important. And I think that's like one of the key things. Start doing stuff from that perspective out. Build your stuff where the things that you use, the GUIs that you use, and command line things, all use the same API. And then so you can build on that sort of stuff. The ability to build that gives you the ability to do the same sort of abstractions that you find in the cloud. Now, the reason why you do it in the cloud is because there's lots of people in very smart organizations building stuff for you, so you don't have to do it yourself, and even software to help you along those lines. Even if you take something on-prem like Azure Stack, right? Like that's going to behave like the cloud on-prem, right? In the ways that matter. And so there's nothing about being on-prem versus being in the cloud that really makes it impossible to do one thing or the other.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add to that is really, storage has gotten so cheap. Hard disks are just super fast these days and large and getting bigger all the time. So there's no reason why we can't just make all this data, not only store it, but make it available over API so that we can create scenarios where we avoid sort of the shoulder tapping. Hey, can you look this up for me, or can you dig into these logs? It's there and it's available. It's safely available, but it's there, and we can dig into it. We can really understand the reality of the systems and what they're really doing. And I think that's coming. It's not just for cloud, but I think the technology that has sort of helped build the cloud up is really starting to spread out into everywhere, and everything's interconnected anymore. Now we got IoT stuff that's starting to emerge, and that's even putting more information out there for us and more sort of edge connections. And that's, I don't know, that to me is really what's unlocking sort of the shifting and thought of how we address some of this.
And lots of people also go with sort of a hybrid approach, which may be where you were sort of hinting at to a certain extent. There is no thing that says, I must be cloud or nothing. right? There's nothing that says that. In fact, there's a whole bunch of, even some of the monitoring stuff we're talking about there. You can ship your metrics up to Azure Log, Log Monitoring, and to Azure Monitor. That's available. In fact, in this particular Microsoft Ignite, they released a way of doing it over a REST interface, where you simply make an HTTP call, like you might make other HTTP calls, and say, here's my metric, here's my metric, here's my metric. So there's nothing that keeps you from using both of them, or even the Azure Pipeline stuff, and run the stuff locally. That's all out there.
Lift and shift used to sound like a really hard thing, like a heavy lift and shift. Now it's just a click of a button in some cases. We're going to move everything from on-prem or in some database, and we're going to move it over to this database. And, it may take a little time depending on how much data we got, but it's not only is it possible, but it's much, much easier than it used to be.
So that feels like an optimistic note to end on, because I'm conscious that both of you gentlemen have other places to be. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, David Blank-Edelman and Jason Hand.